Hello students, in this part of hormonal coordination, we are going to learn about some few endocrine glands, their secretions and the abnormal secretions of the glands and their effects. Let us start with thymus glands. Thymus gland is located between two lungs on the upper part of the thorax, dorsal to the heart. You can see them as soft pinkish bilobed mass of lymphoid tissue. It is prominent gland at the time of birth, but it gradually gets atrophied or shrinks in the adults, so it is called as a temporary gland. The secretion of the gland is called as thymosin. Now it is very easy to relate the name of the gland and its secretion. Secretion of thymus gland is thymosin. What are the functions of thymosin? Important role in development of immune system. That is why we can understand it is well developed gland in children or at the time of birth, but it is slowly, gradually, it shows atrophy. It shows maturation of T lymphocytes. Now, when we studied blood cells, there are white blood cells, lymphocytes. There are two types: B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. B lymphocytes mature in bone marrow. T lymphocytes mature in thymus. The second function of thymosin is that it promotes production of antibodies by providing humoral antibody mediated immunity. When pathogen attacks, a body produces some protein chains, immunoglobulins. These are called as antibodies, and that production is promoted by thymus. So it has an important role in immunity. Then the next gland is adrenal or suprarenal gland. Very important gland. Why it is called as suprarenal? Now you can see they are present superior to the kidneys. I'll show you the location. It is clearly seen in the diagram. Here you can see the suprarenal glands. Then these are small conical yellowish glands. They are originated from both mesoderm and ectoderm from the embryonic condition. Location is upper border of each kidney structure. They show two distinct regions. They can be seen in the diagram also: adrenal cortex and medulla. Cortex is the outer layer, medulla is the inner layer. Now in adrenal gland, you can see the different layers. Adrenal cortex show different layers. Outermost is the capsule. Here you can see zona glomerulosa, the small short layer, then zona fasciculata, and then zona reticularis. These are the layers of adrenal cortex. Now adrenal cortex is derived from embryonic mesoderm. Hormones of adrenal cortex, they are togetherly called as corticoids. Now, as I shown you the layers in the diagram, the three concentric layers are present. Outer thin is called as zona glomerulosa. It secretes mineralocorticoids, minerals, that is sodium and potassium salt. Ions concentration is regulated through the mineralocorticoids. They regulate salt water balance, blood volume and blood pressure. Aldosterone is a prominent mineralocorticoid. It retains salt, it balances sodium potassium levels. Now the outer thin zona glomerulosa, its secretion is mineralocorticoid. Mineral itself suggests that it is related to salt balance. Prominent mineralocorticoid is aldosterone, which balances sodium potassium levels. The middle thick layer is called as zona fasciculata, responsible for secretion of glucocorticoids like cortisol. It regulates metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. Cortisol is an important glucocorticoid responsible for increase in blood glucose level. Now, these glucocorticoids, the name itself suggests that it is related to carbohydrate metabolism. Important glucocorticoid is cortisol related to increase in the blood glucose level. It is immunosuppressive, that is, suppresses synthesis of antibodies. So, in case of allergic conditions, there this immunosuppressant is used to control allergy. It prepares animals to face emergencies in nature. Alertness is a result of these glucocorticoids. An inner layer of this cortex is called as zona reticularis, responsible for production of sex corticoids or gonadocorticoids. In males, they have role in development and maintenance of external sexual characters. Excess of sex corticoids in female causes adrenal virilism and hirsutism, excess hair on face, while in males it causes gynecomastia, enlarged breast. Androgen and estradiols are produced by the adrenal cortex. So three layers and three corticoids we can relate. Outer zona glomerulosa secretes mineralocorticoids. Middle zona fasciculata secretes glucocorticoids, and inner zona reticularis produces sex corticoids. Then disorders. Two disorders can be seen related to adrenal cortex. First is Addison's disease, caused by less secretion of mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. What happens in this disease is low blood sugar level is seen, low sodium and high potassium concentration is in blood plasma is seen, increased loss of sodium and water in urine can be seen. Weight loss, weakness, nausea and vomiting, diarrhea are some symptoms of this disease. Next is Cushing's disease, produced by hypersecretion of glucocorticoids, high blood sugar level, excess excretion of glucose in the urine, rise in sodium and sodium in blood volume, high blood pressure, obesity, and limb muscles are wasted away or lost are some symptoms of this Cushing's disease. Then next is adrenal medulla, or inside the cortex, the part of adrenal gland that is there is called as adrenal medulla, originated from ectoderm. Two secretions are there, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Adrenaline is also called as epinephrine. Noradrenaline is also called as norepinephrine. Adrenaline known as emergency hormone, fight, flight and fright. In case of sudden attacks, this hormone is secreted by the adrenal medulla. Noradrenaline regulates blood pressure under normal condition. This is called as vasoconstrictor. These two hormones are of adrenal medulla. Then we go to the next most important gland, which is a mixed gland called as pancreas. We studied about the exocrine part, acini of pancreas, in digestive system last year. We are going to learn about the endocrine part of pancreas now. Origin develops from endoderm. Nature is mixed exocrine and endocrine. Endocrine cells form the groups called as islets of Langerhans. There are four kinds of cells now which we are going to see. Now if some section of pancreas is magnified, you can see the islets here. The islets are the group of cells which are endocrine in function. There are alpha, beta, delta cells and PP cells also. We are going to see about them. Yes, alpha cells secrete glucagon, stimulates liver for glucogenolysis, increasing blood glucose level. Beta secrete insulin, stimulates liver and muscle for glycogenesis, formation of glycogen, and this causes uh, lowering of blood sugar level, glucose level. Delta cells secrete somatostatin, inhibit secretion of glucagon and insulin, and it decreases the gastric secretion, motility, and absorption in digestive tract. Alpha cells increase blood glucose level. They are hyperglycemic. Beta decrease blood glucose level, that those are hypoglycemic. And delta cells, they keep check on the secretion of alpha and beta cells. Delta cells secrete somatostatin. And there are also PP cells or F cells secrete pancreatic polypeptide. It inhibits the release of pancreatic juice. So pancreatic disorders, diabetes mellitus, which we are most aware of, which is called as hyperglycemia, most common metabolic endocrine disorder. It causes increase in the blood glucose level. It is due to underactivity of beta cells, resulting in reduced secretion of insulin. Insulin is responsible for lowering blood glucose level, but if insulin is not secreted or it is less secreted, then blood glucose rises. In children, this is called as insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, type 1 diabetes. The other form of diabetes is non-insulin dependent or type 2 diabetes. It is due to inability of insulin to facilitate movement of glucose into cells. Insulin actually facilitates uptake of glucose in the cells, thereby decreasing blood glucose level. But in type 2 diabetes, this insulin is produced, but it is not functional. It is unable to facilitate movement of glucose into cells. Many times insulin sensitivity is reduced due to more and more secretion of insulin. This is called as insulin resistance. In both type 1 and type 2 disorders, blood glucose level increases. Some amount of glucose is given out or excreted through urine, causing excessive urination and dehydration of body tissues. Degradation of fats increases the formation of keto bodies. How can be treated it? How can be this treated? By administration of insulin. Then, two important endocrine glands, gonads or sex organs, are ovaries and testes. Ovaries produce four hormones: estrogen, which is secreted by developing follicles. Estradiol is main estrogen responsible for secondary sexual characters in females. Second most important hormone is progesterone, which is secreted by corpus luteum. How is corpus luteum formed? When the graphene follicle releases ovum, the scar tissue that is formed is called as corpus luteum. It is responsible for thickening of uterine endometrium, preparing uterus for implantation of fertilized ovum. Responsible for development of mammary glands during pregnancy and inhibits contractions during pregnancy. So overall, progesterone can be called as a pregnancy hormone. Next hormone of ovaries is relaxin, secreted again by corpus luteum at the end of gestation. It relaxes cervix of pregnant female and ligaments of pelvic girdle for easy birth of young one. So when the development of fetus is completed at the end of pregnancy, the relaxin is secreted. Inhibin is secreted again by corpus luteum, inhibits follicle stimulating hormone and gonadotropin releasing hormone production. Testes or male gonads, hormones of testes are testosterone. It is a type of androgen secreted from interstitial cells or Leydig cells under influence of LH. Testosterone level, if it increases, it inhibits LH secretion. It is responsible for secondary sexual characters such as facial pubic hair, deepening of voice, broadening of shoulders male aggressiveness, and it also helps in maintenance of testes. So this way the gonads or sex organs are also endocrine in function, which are responsible for sexual secondary sexual characters and the reproductive cycles. Then in diffuse endocrine glands there are four glands: placenta, gastrointestinal tract, kidney and heart. Now placenta can be seen here. When the child is in mother's womb, its connection is through the umbilical cord, and umbilical cord is connected to the placenta. It is a temporary endocrine gland. It is the intimate connection between fetus and uterine wall of mother for physiological exchange of material. During pregnancy, this placenta secretes very important hormones: estrogen, progesterone, human chorionic gonadotropin, and placental progesterone. These hormones are very important for checking the contraction of uterine muscles, maintaining thickness of uterine endometrium, and thus these hormones help in maintaining the pregnancy. Then the second gland is gastrointestinal tract. Diffuse glands are found in here. Cells of gastrointestinal mucosa, they produce hormones and they play very important role in digestive processes and flow of digestive juices. First hormone, gastrin, stimulates gastric glands in stomach to produce gastric juice. Then secretin, responsible for secretion of pancreatic juice and bile from pancreas and liver. Cholecystokinin, CCK, or pancreozymin, stimulates pancreas to release enzyme and also stimulates gallbladder to release bile. Enterogastrone or GIP, gastric inhibitory protein, slows gastric contractions and inhibits the secretion of gastric juice. This is how the secretions of the cells of gastrointestinal tract are controlled by these four hormones: gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, enterogastrone or GIP. Then the fourth diffuse endocrine gland is kidney. It produces renin, erythropoietin and calcitriol. Calcitriol is the active form of vitamin cholecalciferol. Renin checks blood pressure. Erythropoietin is responsible for red blood formation, and calcitriol is the vitamin D form. And lastly, heart is also endocrine because it secretes atrial natriuretic factor ANF. It increases sodium excretion by kidneys and reduces blood pressure. This is how we have covered all the endocrine glands and their hormones, functions of the hormones, and what are the effects when the hormones are secreted abnormally. Thank you.